The moment Mitchell leaned in during my baby shower and hissed, "She's not mine," my world exploded in front of 30 stunned guests. By sundown, I'd unmasked his months-long affair, forced his family to admit they'd known all along, and exposed the truth of my daughter's paternity before an audience that once cheered my happily ever after. But the real triumph wasn't in the courtroom victories or the headlines. It was in walking away with my head held high and building a new life for me and my baby on my own terms. The baby booty slipped from my trembling fingers, landing silently on the pink and blue tablecloth as 30 pairs of eyes watched my world collapse in real time. "She's not mine." Mitchell had whispered those 3 words directly into my ear, his breath hot against my neck as I sat surrounded by gift wrap and congratulations cards. Then he stood up, straightened his tie, and walked straight to my cousin Natalie. The same Natalie who'd been helping me plan this shower for months, and took her hand. "We're leaving," he announced to the room, his voice steady and cold. "The charade is over." My 8 months pregnant belly felt like it was crushing my lungs. The baby kicked hard, as if she knew, as if she could feel my heart shattering into 1,000 pieces right there in my mother-in-law's pristine living room. "Mitchell." My voice came out a whisper. "Don't." He held up his hand without even looking at me. "Just don't, Emma. We both know this has been coming." Natalie, beautiful, childless, 25-year-old Natalie, squeezed his hand and gave me a look that wasn't quite pity and wasn't quite triumph. It was worse. It was relief. "I'm sorry, Em," she said, using the nickname she'd called me since we were kids. The sweetness felt like acid in my ears. "But we're in love. We have been for months." The room was so quiet I could hear the grandfather clock ticking in the corner. 30 women who'd come to celebrate my first baby now sat frozen, watching my husband walk out on me at my own baby shower. My mother-in-law, Catherine, finally broke the silence. "Well," she said, setting down her teacup with a sharp clink. "I suppose this explains why the baby doesn't look like our family in the ultrasound photos." The cruelty in her voice hit me like a slap. This woman, who'd pretended to love me for 3 years, who'd helped me pick out nursery colors just last week, was now sitting there with satisfaction written all over her face. "Catherine," my best friend Mia snapped from across the room, "are you serious right now?" "Oh, I'm quite serious," Catherine replied, her thin lips curving into something that wasn't quite a smile. "I never trusted her. Mitchell deserves better than some little gold digger who probably got pregnant on purpose to trap him." Her words felt like knives, each one finding its mark. I tried to stand, my pregnant body awkward and heavy, but my legs wouldn't hold me. The room spun. Before we continue, please write in the comments which country you are watching this video from. We love knowing where our global family is tuning in from. And if this is your first time on this channel, please subscribe. Your support helps us bring even more epic revenge tales of life. Enjoy listening. Emma, breathe. Mia was suddenly beside me, her hand on my back. Don't listen to her. Don't listen to any of them. But it was too late. The damage spread like poison through the room. I could see it in their faces. The doubt, the judgment, the whispered conversations that would start the moment I left. My own Aunt Linda, Natalie's mother, stood up and brushed invisible crumbs from her dress. "Well, I suppose we should go," she said, not meeting my eyes. "This is unfortunate." Unfortunate. My marriage imploding in front of everyone I cared about was unfortunate. One by one, they filed out. Some mumbled awkward apologies, others just left in silence. Within 20 minutes, the only people left were Mia, my sister Claire, and me, sitting in a room full of unopened baby gifts and shredded wrapping paper. Claire's voice was gentle. "Let's get you home." "This is my home," I whispered, looking around the house Mitchell and I had bought together 2 years ago. The house where we'd painted the nursery yellow because we wanted to be surprised. The house where he'd held me every night and whispered about our future. "Not anymore," Mia said firmly. "We're packing your things tonight." But where would I go? I was 8 months pregnant. My part-time job at the library barely covered groceries, and Mitchell had always handled the finances. I didn't even know how much we had in our accounts. That night, as Mia and Claire helped me pack, I found out. Emma. Claire's voice was tight. You need to see this. She held our laptop open to our bank statements. Our joint checking account, the one that should have had our savings for the baby, showed a balance of $247. He cleaned us out, I breathed. He took everything. Mia scrolled through the transactions. Look at this. He's been transferring money out for months in small amounts so you wouldn't notice. My phone buzzed. A text from Mitchell. Don't make this harder than it has to be. The lawyer will contact you about the divorce. The house is in my name, so you need to be out by Friday. 3 days. The baby isn't yours. I typed back, my fingers shaking. We both know you were seeing someone else last Christmas. I stared at the message until the words blurred. Last Christmas he was talking about Jake, my study partner from my online accounting class, the one I'd grabbed coffee with exactly, twice. The one who was gay and married to his husband of 10 years. Mitchell knew that. He'd met Jake at the Christmas faculty party. This wasn't about paternity. This was about wanting out and needing a reason that would make everyone else blame me instead of him. He's lying, I whispered to myself. He knows he's lying. But it didn't matter. The story was already out there, spreading through our small town like wildfire. 1 month later, I held my daughter, Ashley, in my arms in the delivery room of St. Mary's Hospital. She had Mitchell's dark hair and his stubborn chin. She had his long fingers and his mother's nose. She looked exactly like the baby photos Catherine kept on her mantle. I took pictures. Lots of pictures. Mitchell didn't come to the hospital. Neither did his family. But Mia was there, and Claire, and my parents, who'd driven 12 hours to meet their granddaughter. She's perfect, Mom whispered, tears in her eyes. Absolutely perfect. I named her Ashley Grace Darren, keeping my maiden name. Mitchell had already filed paperwork to remove himself from the birth certificate before she was even born. We lived in a tiny apartment above the bakery downtown. Mrs. Martha, the owner, had taken pity on me and offered it for cheap rent in exchange for help with her books. It wasn't much. 1 bedroom, a galley kitchen, and a bathroom with a window that didn't close properly. But it was ours. For 6 months, I poured everything into being a mother. I worked part-time for Mrs. Martha, took freelance bookkeeping jobs online during Ashley's naps, and slowly rebuilt some semblance of a life. But I watched, I listened, I waited. Mitchell had married Natalie in a quick courthouse ceremony 2 months after Ashley was born. They moved into a bigger house across town, the kind with a 3-car garage and a pool that he'd always said we can't afford. Catherine made sure everyone knew that Mitchell had escaped a terrible situation and that poor Natalie had to deal with the mess I left behind. The town picked sides, and most chose his. Then Mia brought me the first piece of ammunition I needed. You need to see this, she said, setting her laptop on my kitchen table. I hadn't been able to see Natalie's social media posts since she blocked me everywhere, but Mia had screenshots, photos of Natalie and Mitchell together at dinner, on weekend trips, at the beach, all time-stamped from 11 months ago. 2 months before I got pregnant. Look at this one. Mia pointed to a photo of them kissing under mistletoe on Christmas Eve, posted December 24th at 11:47 p.m. The same Christmas Eve, Mitchell told me he was working late at the office. The same night he smelled like perfume and claimed it was from his co-worker's goodbye party. The same Christmas I'd been home every night by 6, making dinner and waiting for him. They're not even trying to hide the timeline, Mia said. Look at her captions. Enjoying with my love. 1-year anniversary dinner. She's been documenting their entire affair. I stared at the photos until they burned into my memory. Mitchell's hands on her waist, his real smile, the way he looked at her like she was the center of his universe, the way he used to look at me. I need copies of all of these, I said quietly. Emma, what are you thinking? Mia asked. I'm thinking it's time people knew the truth. The second piece of evidence came from an unexpected source, Catherine herself. I was at the grocery store with Ashley, trying to avoid judgmental stares, when I overheard Catherine talking to her friend Helen in the next aisle. Oh, the girl is definitely Mitchell's, Catherine was saying. You should see her. She's got the Gordon nose and everything. But Mitchell had to get out of that marriage somehow. Emma's been bleeding him dry with her shopping and her demands. Poor boy, Helen replied. And now he has to pay child support, Catherine said with satisfaction. Not a penny, Catherine continued. He's not on the birth certificate, remember? And Emma's too proud to ask for a paternity test. She knows it would just embarrass her more when everyone finds out about her cheating. I stood there with my cart, Ashley gurgling happily, in her carrier, and listened to my ex-mother-in-law admit she knew her son was lying, that she knew Ashley was his daughter, that she was actively covering it up. I pulled out my phone and started recording. Mitchell's better off without her, Catherine said. And Natalie's pregnant now too, so they can have a real family. A legitimate one. My blood turned to ice. Natalie was pregnant? How far along? Helen asked. For months? They're thrilled, Catherine said. This one will be planned. Not like that other situation. That other situation, my daughter, was an other situation. I had everything I needed. That night, I called my lawyer, a scrappy young woman named Rachel, who'd taken my case pro bono after hearing my story. Catherine just gave us everything, I told her. She admitted Mitchell knows Ashley is his. She admitted they're covering it up, and I have it all recorded. Emma, this is huge, Rachel said. We can file for paternity and child support immediately. The recording proves bad faith. I want more than child support, I said. I want them to pay for what they did to me, to Ashley. I want everyone to know the truth. Thinking big, Rachel laughed. I nodded. Let's do it. The plan took 2 months to execute perfectly. First, Rachel filed for paternity and child support, using Catherine's recorded confession as evidence of fraud. The motion requested genetic testing and back child support from Ashley's birth. While that moved through the courts, I did my own detective work. It turned out Natalie wasn't as careful as she thought. Her best friend Jenna, who worked at the bank, got drunk at a girls' night and let slip that Natalie had been bragging about stealing Mitchell away from his boring wife for over a year. She said she got pregnant on purpose so Mitchell would leave me for her. Jenna told me this, guilt all over her face. She was obsessed with him, Jenna said, like scary obsessed. More evidence, more recordings. I also discovered that Mitchell's big promotion, the one that paid for their fancy house, was actually a loan from Catherine, secured against the house Mitchell and I had shared. The house he claimed was only in his name wasn't. Our marriage had made me a joint owner automatically under state law. He'd committed fraud by forcing me out, then using it as collateral. Rachel was practically giddy when I brought her this information. They're going to owe you everything, she said. The house, back child support, damages for emotional distress. But I still wanted more than money. I wanted justice. I wanted them to feel the same humiliation they'd put me through. I wanted everyone to know the truth. The opportunity came in the form of Natalie's baby shower, the very shower where she'd helped destroy me. And she'd invited half the same people, including some former friends who'd cut me off after the scandal. Mia brought me the invitation on thick cardstock with gold foil calligraphy. A prince is coming at the country club. I smiled. I have an idea, I told Mia. The paternity results came back 3 days before the shower. 99.97% probability that Mitchell Gordon was Ashley's father. Rachel filed them with the court immediately, along with a motion for emergency child support and a lien against Mitchell's assets pending the fraud investigation. But I didn't want him to find out through his lawyer. I wanted him to find out the way I'd found out about his affair, in public, in front of everyone. The country club was packed. Ice sculptures, a string quartet, servers in white jackets carrying champagne. Natalie looked radiant in a flowing pink dress, her hand on her 5-month bump. Mitchell stood beside her like a proud husband, accepting congratulations. Catherine held court by the gift table, regaling guests with stories about her wonderful new daughter-in-law. I watched from across the parking lot, sitting in my car with Ashley on my lap. She was 9 months old now, babbling and reaching for everything. At exactly 3 p.m., just as Natalie was opening her gifts, my phone buzzed. Here, they're all here. Are you ready? I looked down at Ashley, who gave me a gummy smile. Ready, baby girl? Time to meet your daddy. I walked into the country club like I owned it. Ashley was dressed in the most beautiful white dress I could afford, her dark hair in tiny pigtails, looking absolutely perfect. The room went silent when they saw me. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. Someone dropped a champagne glass. Mitchell turned white. Natalie's mouth fell open. What is she doing here? Catherine hissed. Call security. I don't think they'll want to remove me, I said calmly, my voice carrying across the silent room. Not when I have such good news to share. I walked straight to Mitchell, my daughter in my arms. Mitchell, I said sweetly, I wanted you to be the first to know. The paternity results came back. He couldn't speak. He just stared at me, then at Ashley, then back at me. 99.97%. Congratulations, I continued. You're a father. The room erupted, gasps, whispers, the scraping of chairs as people turned to get a better look. That's impossible, Natalie stammered, voice shaky. But the evidence was right there in my arms, babbling and smiling like his own. The court has already ordered back child support, I said. 9 months' worth, plus damages, plus my half of the house Mitchell used as collateral. Catherine made a choking sound. The house, someone murmured. The house I co-owned, Mia added helpfully. The one Mitchell claimed was only his, when he kicked out his pregnant wife. Turns out that was fraud. Mitchell found his voice at last. Emma, this isn't how you wanted people to find out. Not when you humiliated me in front of 30 people at my baby shower, I shot back. When you let your mother call me a gold digger, when you abandoned your daughter and let this town think I was a cheater. Natalie wept now, her perfect shower in ruins. Mitchell, please, she begged. But he couldn't speak. The truth was out, the evidence overwhelming. I just have one question, I said, bouncing Ashley gently in my arms. To those of you who believed his lies, who turned your backs on me, how does it feel to know you were wrong? Silence stretched on forever, until Mrs. Rodriguez from the flower shop stepped forward. Emma, she said quietly, I'm sorry. We all should have known better. Others began to murmur apologies. The tide was turning, but I wasn't done. Turning back to Mitchell, I asked, Would you like to hold your daughter? He stared at Ashley, guilt and fear on his face. She's never heard her daddy say he loves her, I said. She deserves a father who claims her, who fights for her. Ashley squealed and reached for him again, her resemblance unmistakable. Mitchell's composure finally cracked. Emma, please don't make us face the consequences of your choices, I said, voice firm. You left us. You forced me into court. You let everyone think I was at fault. But she is his, and we will fight for her. I turned to leave, pausing at the door. Oh, and Mitchell, the court date for child support is next Tuesday. Don't be late. As I walked out, chaos erupted behind me. Raised voices, accusations, relationships imploding in real time. But I didn't look back. 6 months later, I sat in my new 3-bedroom house, modest but comfortable, thanks to Mitchell's back child support and my fraud settlement, watching Ashley take her first steps. The court had ordered him to pay $2,800 a month in support, plus health insurance and childcare, and awarded me damages for emotional distress. I used the money to finish my accounting degree and launch my bookkeeping business. Natalie left Mitchell 2 months after the shower. The public humiliation and legal battles were too much. She moved back in with her parents and filed for divorce, claiming he'd deceived her about his finances. The irony wasn't lost on me. Mitchell tried to reach out to meet Ashley, but only after his lawyer explained how badly it would look in court if he showed no interest. I declined. He'd had 9 months to step up. He chose not to. Catherine surprised me most of all. 3 weeks after the country club incident, she showed up on my porch, older and more fragile. I want to meet my granddaughter, she said. You had the chance 9 months ago, I replied. You chose not to. Tears streaming down her face, she whispered, I was wrong. That little girl is family. DNA didn't change that, I said. His lies didn't either. The only thing that changed was her willingness to acknowledge the truth. In the end, I let her meet Ashley, Not for Catherine's sake, but for my daughter's. 1 year later, at Ashley's first birthday party in our backyard, I watched her smash cake into her high chair tray, laughter spilling over. It was a small celebration, family and real friends, cake and balloons, but perfect. Mitchell wasn't invited. He'd made his choice. As I lifted Ashley out of her high chair and held her close, I realized I'd won. Not because of money or court victories, but because I refused to let his abandonment define us. I created a life for us built on truth, on fighting for what's right, on never accepting less than we deserved. "Mama," she said clearly, reaching sticky little hands for me. "That's right, baby girl," I whispered, holding her tight. "Mama's here. Mama's always going to be here." And in that moment, I knew. Walking away from Mitchell was the best thing that ever happened. I set us free to become who we were meant to be.